AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden and Vice President Harris appeared for the first time in a policy-oriented event since Harris replaced Biden at the top of the Democratic presidential ticket. Here's the AP's Sagar Magani.
In Maryland.
Today we take the next step, thank you, Joe, forward in our fight.
Harris stood smiling as the crowd saluted the president.
This most extraordinary human being and American.
As they celebrated the administration's work to lower prescription drug costs, they also celebrated each other.
I have an incredible partner. The progress we've made, she's going to make one hell of a president.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Former President Donald Trump is holding a news conference in New Jersey. His running mate, J.D. Vance, says the Democratic ticket is scripted.
The Harris campaign is not running a political campaign. They're trying to produce a movie. She never stands before the American people without a script. She never talks to voters unless a teleprompter is right in the middle of them. This is not a person who we should trust to sit in a private room with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and the leaders of America's, whether they're adversaries or friends.
Vance and Tim Walz have agreed to a debate October 1st in New York. Stocks finished with big gains, boosted by a jump in retail sales last month. Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick says it comes as prices remain high.
Even though we've had the job market seeing some cooling, the unemployment rate is still at a relative historic low of 4.3%, and we've had more encouraging news on inflation.
The Fed is expected to cut interest rates next month. In Los Angeles, 5 people, including his personal assistant and 2 doctors, have been charged in connection with Matthew Perry's death last year. Prosecutors are calling it a broad underground criminal network dedicated to getting the star of TV's Friends the powerful surgical anesthetic ketamine that killed him. This is AP News. Actor and Hollywood Squares game show host Peter Marshall has died. He was 98.
Peter Marshall was an actor and singer who became host of the Hollywood Squares for 16 years. His publicist says Marshall died at home in Los Angeles of kidney failure. The program won 4 daytime Emmys for Outstanding Game Show during his run.
Nudist camps often advertise that they offer the 3 R's. Now,
Marshall was the host of more than 5,000 episodes of the series that ran on NBC from 1966 to 1981. I'm Shelley Adler.
After her Vienna shows were canceled for security reasons, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour takes her to Wembley Stadium in London starting tonight. These 2 from Minneapolis were in Vienna.
Last minute, we had to buy tickets very last minute. Yeah, so that was tough, but we made it.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Good morning, Marianas. Good morning to ya. Oh, it's a little bit slower music on this rainy Friday, but it is Friday. The end of the week is here. All that hard work you put in is paying off because you made it. Maybe it's a payday Friday, and that's probably the best kind of Friday. Good morning, everybody. This is, to be fair, I thought I was queuing up a song that had a little bit more energy to get us going. Well, let me see. How about this one? All right, this one gets us a little more powered up a little bit. It's a little bit more energy. There we go. That's what we wanted. Hey, it's 82 degrees outside. It's a rainy day, but that's just fine because your car needed to get clean anyway. And at least this way you got to do it for free. That's right. Hey, we've got a nice day no matter what we got. 50% chance of rain, but actually it's 100% if you live anywhere near where I live on my way to work. It rained everywhere, puddles galore, and that is that's what you got to deal with, especially when you're driving the news van of justice and freedom as we were today. It's not too bad, but we're looking at more of this throughout the day today. High near 87 degrees, winds out of the east, southeast, 3 to 8 miles per hour, 50% chance of rain. Tonight looks like we're going to get a lot more, so all I say is Mother Nature, get your raining out now because we got baseball to go next weekend. We absolutely need it. We absolutely need to have some nice green fields and dry fields at that. It's going to be rainy all weekend. Hey, tonight it's going to be rainy. We're looking at possible thunderstorms, and if you like thunderstorms, how about yesterday at lunch around 11 o'clock or something? That was a little feisty. Nothing to be scared about. Don't worry, guys. We're going to be just fine. We got a 60% chance of rain tonight. Ooh, it gets even more likely. That's all right. So let's see, what is it? It's August, so let's figure September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Expect a lot of babies in June. It keeps raining like this. Hey, tomorrow we got showers likely again, chance precipitation at 60%. Possible thunderstorms tomorrow again. And so that's not super nice. But don't worry, because while it's raining, you can stay inside and watch the Society for Professional Journalists and the Candidates Forum at 1 o'clock on the SPJ Facebook page. We'll be cross-posting over there right here on the NMI News Service as well. You're going to be able to watch that. All 5 candidates gunning for Khalili's position going to be going head-to-head. They're going to be in the same room sitting right next to each other. They're going to be the best pals. It's going to be like the Super Friends sitting next to each other. They're all going to be talking about how they think they can help the Marianas as the CNMI sole member of the United States House of Representatives. That's going to be at 1 o'clock on Saturday. That's tomorrow. Good morning, Louisa. Good to see you. Tobot, good to see you too. And always great to see you too. You are the queen of memes. The meme queen is here. I'm telling you, all the little gifts that you've got. Well, maybe not memes. Memes not it. It's the gifts, right? That you end up posting that I think are the absolute best. I'm telling you, like, there's always some kind of different cat in some kind of weird little spot that just is adorable. I love it. So keep it coming. All right. So hold on as I turn down the volume on this, just so I could see whoever's over there on that side. You guys were over there on YouTube as well this morning at NMI News 670. We're broadcasting also on Good Morning Marianas Facebook page. And of course, right here on the NMI News Service. So if you're watching us, awesome. If you're not watching us, well, you can't hear us anyway. So I guess it's okay. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a great show lined up today. We've got a couple of different guests. At 8 o'clock, we're going to have the attorney for the water park or the water sports operators on Managaha, Mark Scoggins. He's going to be in studio. He's going to talk a little bit about what Dave Sablon said about from DPL about Marianas Global not paying what they're supposed to pay for rent and everything like that. So we're going to hear a little bit from him and looking forward to that. Also at 8:30 today, we're going to have folks from OPD, Office of Planning and Development. They're going to tell us quite a bit about what's going on with that new cultural center that's going to be over here in Oleai. Holy cow, that thing looks awesome. You know, I'll tell you what, I saw some of the comments in the Variety. Of course, you know, we don't live in our own little world. We read everybody's news out here. We pay attention to KUAM, KSPN, Variety, Tribune. We watch it all. But when we checked out the comments about that cultural center, man, it's so negative. I don't understand it because I think it looks so great. That whole idea of redeveloping that area is fantastic. Now, I did speak with somebody who has a lot to do in that area, not through that department though. And one of the things she mentions, she's like, you know, there's going to be all that concrete. It's right now, it's all natural. It's one of the few places to go. I'm like, you know what? I could see that. I definitely understand that, and I appreciate that take. You know, but, you know, there's some good and bad with everything that happens, right? So if that area is going to end up having a whole bunch of concrete structures, well, so be it. You know, I think it's going to be great to have that amphitheater there. I think it's going to be great to have all those little kiosks there. That'll be there all the time. Like, that's going to be the place where they're going to have, like, Flame Tree, I'm guessing. They'll have Flame Tree Art Festival there. We'll have maybe Taste of the Marianas moves over there, too. Who knows? But it's going to be a great spot. Now, we are going to end up losing the basketball court out of that. So, I mean, that's a big concrete structure over there, too. I mean, it's flat. And I hope there is a plan to replace that basketball court, because I will tell you, it is a very popular place. And there's also a concrete pala pala over there that a lot of people use, the UFO pala pala, which is really just great. And so there's going to be a whole bunch of new stuff going in over there. I am looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to us being done with all this road construction. And I don't think I'm alone in that. In fact, Public Works came out and started talking a little bit about the traffic woes that people are experiencing. And basically they said, hey, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just be patient with us. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, like, we should, we could change our flags and replace the Laddystone with a traffic cone. At least when we're doing this kind of stuff. I know Ray's not going to like that one either. But that's an idea. That's a temporary change to our flag. But it's going to look good. Oh, Tobot, you're talking about yes, you saw that post for the news van of justice. I posted this last night. I couldn't believe it. So I don't know who you fuel up with. If you fuel up with Mobil, you end up getting the Smile points. If you end up fueling up with Shell, you get the Pacific points, right? And you can do all that other stuff, right? So when I filled up last night, and if you don't know, like, I end up selling the Tacoma that I have, that 4-wheel drive awesomeness that I had, and ended up replacing it. I was wondering what I was going to get. I saw one of these K-Vans, these Japanese vehicles from the 90s. They're small. They're a lot smaller than a regular car, as you would think. But when you get inside, there's like boola room, right? So much. So one of the things I really come to appreciate is the price for the fill up of gas. And they're like, well, you got to fill up all the time. No, I'm filling up just as often as I would with my pickup, right? So the same amount of driving, whatever size the gas tank is just enough to get me as far as it got me with the truck, right? The difference is the amount that I pay to fill up that van versus the amount that I was paying for the truck. For the truck, it was about $90 every time, give or take, right? Sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's a little lower, not much lower. It'd be like 88, 89. That's like every week, which is kind of holy cow, right? So I'm paying about $100 a month or more. I mean, you average out like some weeks or some months have like 5 weeks and all that stuff. Sometimes you got more driving going on, all that other stuff. You know, it's not outrageous for me to pay about $400 a month for gas. And that sounded crazy. Well, getting this van of power and justice is now like I just had my cheapest fill up yesterday, $23.50 with the special discount that I have for the fuel. You know, when you hit that 6,000 points, you get that 6% down. Well, and then you can use the points. Doesn't matter. Well, I'm way past that 6,000 points now, so I get 6% off of everything else. So it was $25, but the Pacific points brought it down to $23.50. That was to fill up the gas tank. That's like the guy filling it up and trying to get it to an even number stuff too. All right. It is crazy. I can't imagine what it would cost for gas. Like if gas was like normal, and by normal, I mean like how much it cost when I first came out here. It would be absolutely crazy. Yeah, I'm talking about back in the days when you would go to the pump with whatever you're driving, pay $20, and that was a full tank, right? Or it was pretty close. You know, those days are long gone. So anyway, it's not too bad. I definitely like the price of this gas, and I'm enjoying driving this thing around. And it's a manual transmission. It's a right-hand drive, so you're sitting on the right-hand side of the vehicle. Yep, the steering wheel, it's on the wrong side. I know. I'll tell you what, it's got another benefit. I have not gone through the drive-through since I've got that. True story. I have not gone through the drive-through since I had it. We're talking planetary stuff. Holy cow. And Atow. Give me a whole new thing going on over here. Let's read this. Mercury is in retrograde now until August 28th. Pluto in retrograde until October 11th in Aquarius and Capricorn. Neptune is in retrograde until December 7th in Pisces. And Saturn is in retrograde now until November 15th in Pisces. I don't know what that means. I know that I need to know a little bit more about that, but I absolutely love that. Maybe you're going to have to give us our astrological updates all the time. Yep, Tobot back in the day it was 99. It says, I'll tell you what it was when I first came out here. It was insane. I thought it was crazy expensive for me coming from the States to pay $1.98 per gallon for regular and 208 for the super. Right? What do they call it? It wasn't super. We called it something else here. Was it V Power? Is that what it was for that? And that was pretty legit. I thought that was really a lot of money to spend back then, and man, I can't imagine now. Like, I mean, it was like a buck a gallon or something like that back then. You know, so like things have definitely changed. JJ, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you too. All right. Well, let's get into some of the stuff that we got going on. I already played you guys the latest headline that came out at the 7 o'clock update, so from the Associated Press. So later, when we hit to 8 o'clock, before we have Mark Scoggins come in studio, we'll make sure that we play that for you guys too. But we could talk about hit on some of the things that we know already. The story that we covered at length when DPS discovered that lifeless body down by fishing base. And then they ended up making an arrest for their suspect, which was the suspect's brother. And now he's officially been charged. Moses Cabrera is charged with second degree. Moses Pangilinan Cabrera, the brother of the victim, charged with second degree murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and aggravated assault and battery. Wow. I mean, that's going to be, again, it's a sad thing. We've been following this since it started, and now we're going to see all the way through. I mean, he's not going to come out of prison probably for the rest of his life now. He ended up going to prison before, and now he's been detained for all this. He's not going to end up making bail out of any of this stuff, and I can't imagine them not being able to. I mean, any conviction that he gets, any amount of time. I mean, the guy's 78 years old. He's not going to end up coming out. He's in his forever home now, over at the Department of Corrections. Oh, I know it's alleged. I know. But likely with something like this, it seems like it's, unless there's some kind of a real mistake that happens with the Attorney General's office, all this stuff's going to be pretty much done. So we'll see. Ann says, you'd be surprised to read about your signs and planets in houses. I would be, by the way. Maybe that's got to be a regular segment for us now. Ann, I'm with you. And if you guys are wondering why are we jumping around so quick, because I'm also seeing the comments that you guys have. Ann is still going back talking about the astrological signs. I'm interested in it. I'm a Scorpio myself, so I don't know what they have to say about me. That's the scary one, right? That one's okay. Anyway, so that's what's happening with Moses Cabrera. It's a tragic story. You know, I've seen a bunch of stuff in the comments about that, Cain and Abel and all that other stuff. And it's the same thing. Like it happens within your family. And, of course you're going to be upset. You're going to be hurt. But there's nothing you can do. There's no way to win on something like that. Just terrible for everybody involved. Yikes. And, by the way, we'll transition a little bit. You see, I'm actually wearing the fancy stuff today. Today's the last day that we've got VJ, our intern, today. And so today, after the show, for lunch, we're going to be at Kensington for the Saipan Chamber of Commerce and the Department of Labor and PSS, like the nice little recognition lunch that we've got. So, I'll tell you what, he's not here yet and everything, and he's probably not watching, but he's been great. He's been absolutely great to have him in studio and to be a real help. He's the one who reached out for us, reaching out to OPD to have them come in today too. And man, I'm going to miss this guy. Just really, it was great having him in there. I was having a conversation with him last night after we were prepping for everything for the forum for tomorrow. Went over to Godfather's, pick up some food on the way home. And I was telling him, like, you know what? It took a little while, like the first week, trying to feel him out, figure out like what he can do and what he's able to do, what his schedule is like. Is he dependable? Can I trust him and all that? And I found out, I'm like, okay, I can trust this guy. Then what can he do? So little by little, giving him more stuff to do. And then I got to a point where because I'm doing everything myself with this stuff, right? With setting up the show and all that. So trying to figure out what I can do or what parts of this preparation stuff and everything can I offload to somebody and then feel confident that it's going to be able to come back. And then started doing that little by little, get a good understanding for what he's able to do. And we were doing it, and it was great. So now I'm getting like more stuff happening. I'm getting more products and all that stuff from him and everything. And then next thing you know, like I don't have like he's finishing stuff so fast and getting stuff going, and we're able to get more things done. I'm more productive and everything. I'm like, holy cow. Now adding more stuff. Hey, call those guys. Can you check this real quick? So then we're starting to interact a little bit more. And so right now we're hitting our stride, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to have a pretty good idea once this thing really gets fired up about what we're going to be able to do and how we're going to be able to do this with folks in studio. So we're getting there. I learned a lot about this stuff, and I learned about how much more productive we can be having some folks. So I think the key is really going to be finding the right folks who are interested. So we were talking with some of our business partners last night before that as well, and they gave us some tips about doing some things through the WIA program and the Workforce Investment Agency. So we're really looking into that now and seeing if we can't get some good folks, some good money, and to do stuff here. So again, it's going to be about finding the right folks to do this, and that's going to be about people who are really interested in doing this, not just people who just want to have a job that seems like it'd be fun or something. Like if there are people with an active interest in this kind of stuff, man, we can make some magic. And I'm really more and more excited about this, like every day now, thinking about this program and how it's going to work. So it's a busy day for us today. And again, it's the last day. So we've got that. And then after that one's done today, we're going to be over at NMSA, the Northern Marianas Sports Association, because they're going to be signing some sort of an agreement with the CNMI sports director and with PSS. That's going to be at 1:30. After that, we're going to head over to NM Posse because we're going to help shoot a commercial for them, and then we're going to produce it about accessibility and voters' rights for people who have challenges to their mobility. So it's really, today is over already. Even though it just started, whole day is going to fly right by. All the schedule stuff is just going to cruise right through. And then all of a sudden, we're going to be in the forum. I'm preparing for it tomorrow at KSPN Studios. By the way, that was a lot of fun last night, too. So we're preparing for this big forum that we're going to be doing with, I'll call it like the Avengers of Reporters, the Society of Professional Journalists. We're going to be doing this tomorrow at 1 p.m. You'll see us on Facebook on the Society of Professional Journalists page. We'll cross-post over here as well. And it's going to be all the candidates right there. So it's not just one news group that's doing it. It's all of us together, which is really pretty cool. So last night, working with Tone Atalig and Tomas Mangalona on the setup in the studio at KSPN. Going to have all the different computers and everything set up, and or cameras and lighting and all that. We worked on all that stuff, microphones, you name it. And then Tone and I are going to be in the other room doing all the production stuff. So he's going to be switching the cameras and everything. I'm going to run the stream with the graphics, the lower thirds is what they call it when you got someone's name on there and all that. And man, it's going to be great. And at some point, I'm going to even sneak over there and ask a question to the candidates. I don't know if I got two. I know I have one. I think I'm going to have two in there. But we're going to have Brian Manabat's going to be there. Kim S. Morris is going to be there from the Tribune. Brian from Variety. Again, Tone's going to be there. Chris Nelson's going to be asking questions for KSPN. Again, our great hosts to make this stuff happen. And they got a cool place over there. If you haven't been to KSPN's new studios, remember for a long time they were over there at Marianas Business Plaza for the longest time. Even like when I was there, they were at Marianas Business Plaza. Now they're at I don't remember the name of the facility that they're in, but when you're going up Capitol Hill, excuse me, there's some really nice office buildings to the left if you're going up the hill. Of course, they'll be on the right if you're going downhill. And they're in there. And I forget, again, apologize to the owners of the building. I can't remember the name of it, but I know that they've already got stuff going on, or that you can rent out space and everything. But man, they have so much space over there, and they've got like multiple floors in the buildings. I'm just talking about KSPM. And so we're going to use one of their conference rooms. We've taken all the furniture out of it and just put in the stools that folks will be sitting on, and then put in the cameras and it's very utility like right now, where it's just all like wires and cameras and lights and everything, and we're just putting all the effort into it to make it work. I mean, it's a temporary studio that we're making just for this at KSPN. So they're being fantastic hosts for us and letting us do that. So really excited about that. Again, it's like the Avengers reporting. Like everybody's coming in from all the different places to descend on this. So the Society of Professional Journalists Forum tomorrow, 1:00. You'll be able to find it on the SPJ Facebook page, and we're going to cross post it over on ours. I know the other guys are going to do that stuff to them too, but man, it's going to be great. It's going to be great fun. I'm so glad that we're doing it. Again, we set up the stuff last night, and we're just going to put some finishing touches on it with some of the graphics and the background sound stuff and everything. So please tune in for it. I think it's going to be the best resource you're going to have, well, at least for the next month, to get to know your candidates. And again, you're going to see them all sitting there together. They're all going to be in the same room. It's not remote. It's not anything. We're all going to be in the same place. So should be pretty neat. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how they all react to each other, because, people can, when you got a crowd, there's no crowd for this. So when you've got a crowd, you could play up to it. You could feed off their energy and everything. But I think in a room like this, a situation like this, people are going to be a lot more civil, a lot more communicative, a lot more, it'll be more positive, I think, as far as their interactions with each other. And this is now their second forum, because last weekend there was a virtual one where they were all in different locations, zooming in online and stuff like that with Glenn Maglonia for Marianas Sagupa. And it was, that's the first one. That's number one. We're number two. The Chamber of Commerce is going to be number 3 in a month from now. And then a month after that, they're going to be at the NMC, and then it's the election. So it's going to be cruising. I mean, just like our show today, and just like the way today's going to go, they are cruising by. It is exciting. That's right. So this is Peeling. It says Congressman Joel Camacho is doing a lot of great work with the beautification of the north side of the island of Saipan. My kind of leader. Hey, that's right. You know what? I saw Joel Camacho. Where was it? There was an event recently. Oh, it was at the graduation for the 10th cycle for the Customs and Biosecurity folks. All the leaders came out for all that stuff. But I told him, because he was not going to run this election. He was not going to run again for Precinct 4. And it just seems like he was doing such a great job. It was going to be a big loss for the folks up north if they were going to lose him. Well, he decided that he's coming back, and he is running. He has already filed his candidacy, so he's thrown his hat back in the ring again. I thanked him for it. I don't even live in Precinct 4, but I am appreciative that he's running again, because I'll tell you what, I don't know if you know him, but if you do get to know him, he's a really good communicator, a real level-headed guy, and he gets things done. He reminds me a lot of Ivan Blanco, the late Jimbo Ivan Blanco. And I really like that we have leaders like him in our Commonwealth. I mean, and clearly the people of Precinct 4 appreciate what he's doing too. He's really humble. He's not Benedusu. I mean, he is just him. And him and his wife are just a great team. I just really, really, really love that we got people like him in office. And I think, he's a nice, steady, stable guy who gets stuff done. And I think we're lucky for it. All right. So we're going to take, let me see just so it popped in real quick. Hey, all right. No problem. We're gonna take a real quick break before we get out of here because at 8 o'clock we're gonna have attorney Mark Scoggins come in, who's representing a number of the marine sports operators who are out there in Managaha, who are in disagreement with everything that DPL is proposing with Marianas Global. He'll be on here in just a little bit, and he's going to talk to us about the statements made by DPL's Dave Sablon with regards to Marianas Global as well. So we're going to work on that in a second. If you want to work on yourself, though, a place where you can go is over here in Chalkanoa. Right in the shadow of the Aquarius Beach Tower is the newest gym in Saipan. It's Laddie Built 24-hour fitness. The name is not new, but the facility, it's the newest one we've got in the CNMI. It's got all the latest equipment. It's got all the latest free weights, the racks, the machines, you name it. They've got great fitness trainers. They've got great supplements. They've got great gear. They've got the hot sauna. They've got the cold plunge, the cold therapy. You name it, they have it. And listening to me talk about it might sound exciting. It might. But you got to go see it for yourself.
Persistence of build, be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book. We be a lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence of build, be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
It's a great day to be up 3-0. I'll tell you that. It probably is not great to be down 3-0.
I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Motion.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it, and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, it's just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you can choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
AP Sports, I'm Mike Reeves. We start with Major League Baseball and history for one of the game's great sluggers. We get more from correspondent David Schuster in Chicago.
Aaron Judge smacked a 3-run homer, number 43 on the season and number 300 for his career as the Yankees defeated the White Sox 10-2.
It's a great achievement. You know, it's been in the game a little while now, I guess. We still got a long way to go, but like I said a couple days ago, I was hoping it'd come in and win, and it came in a big win for us where, you know, we were kind of down for a little bit and couldn't get really much going. So I was just excited that it was just there in a big moment.
With the victory, New York maintains a half-game lead over Baltimore in the AL East. Meanwhile, the White Sox lose for the 26th time in 28 games, now 64 games under 500.
Judge has reached 300 career home runs faster than any player in Major League Baseball history, doing so in his 955th career game. Baltimore was a 4-1 winner over the Nationals. Gunnar Henderson with a 2-run home run for the Orioles. The league's 3 hottest teams reside in the NL West, where the Dodgers started play 3.5 games on top of the Padres and Diamondbacks. LA was riding a 5-game winning streak into their game in Milwaukee, where Chuck Freeman took in the festivities.
Brewers starter Frankie Montas put his team in an early hole, but he was able to hang in there while the offense battled back to give the Brewers a 5-4 win over the Dodgers. Montas gave up 3 first-inning runs, and it looked like it was going to be a short night for him.
To be honest, after that first inning, I was just like, okay, Frankie, just trying to go as long as you can, you know. Just telling myself to keep making pitches, you know, good things will happen.
But Montas pitched shutout baseball through the next 4 innings and then turned it over to the bullpen. Milwaukee snapped a 4-4 tie in the 7th on a Jackson Chourio single. Devin Williams then closed out the 9th inning in grand fashion. Williams retired Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman to finish off the game.
That LA loss meant that the Padres and Diamondbacks could close the gap, and they did just that. We start with George Tanner's report on Arizona's victory in the desert.
Eugenio Suarez drove in 5 runs with a grand slam and a pair of doubles to score another to lead the Diamondbacks to an 11-4 victory over the Rockies and a sweep of their 3-game series. Suarez says after a slow start, he's glad to finally be helping the team win some big games.
After my first 2 months of the season, when I was struggling now, my work hard pay off, and I feel great. Obviously, you know, you got a good series, good games like this today, and you have to feel good about yourself, you know, and that's me right now.
San Diego took down a struggling Pittsburgh team in California. Here's AP correspondent Dave Ferry.
The Padres burst out to an early 8-run lead and coasted to an 8-2 rout of the Pirates. Jake Cronenworth smacked a 3-run homer in the first inning. Padres manager Mike Schilt.
3-run homer gets on board. Of course, we added on, which is obviously important. But no, Jake's in a good place and just put a nice easy stroke on it and carried it out of there.
San Diego tacked on 4 more in the 3rd inning on David Peralta's 2-run shot and Jackson Merrill's 2-run triple off Mitch Keller. San Diego swept the season series from Pittsburgh and won for the 19th time in its last 22 games. The Pirates have dropped 10 in a row.
Coming up, more from Major League Baseball as well as news from the NFL. The NL East leading Phillies ended a 4-game losing skid with a 9-5 win over the Marlins. The game's big blow came from Kyle Schwarber, whose 4th-inning grand slam put Philadelphia on top 6-5.
Felt good to be in a situation where you can come through, and was able to get a good pitch and put a good swing on the ball.
Atlanta stayed 6 games behind the Phillies, winning 13-2 at San Francisco. Michael Harris II hit a grand slam for the Braves. In the AL West, Houston is now 2.5 games ahead of Seattle after the Astros' 2-1 win in 10 innings at Tampa Bay. Mauricio Dubon drove in the go-ahead run in the 10th for Houston. They've won 8 straight and finish a road trip with a mark up 8-1. Astros manager Joe Espada.
Heck of a road trip. We took care of business. We beat some really good teams on the road, and we played really well.
Detroit rallied past Seattle 3-2 in 10 innings. Kerry Carpenter's 2-run home run in the 8th inning would tie it, and then they would walk it off on a Akil Baddoo double in the 10th. In the AL Central, Cleveland's now 4.5 games ahead of second-place Minnesota. The Guardians completed a 3-game sweep of the Cubs with a 6-1 win. Andres Jimenez went 3 for 4 with 3 runs batted in. Alex Cobb won for the first time in 2 starts since returning from off-season hip surgery.
Certain times I feel great, and then I'll realize that I'm not as sharp as I should be, but that's all stuff that you try to work on in between games, and then when you're out there, you go into attack mode.
The Royals avoided a sweep at Minnesota, winning 4-1. Paul DeYoung and Bobby Witt Jr. hit home runs for Kansas City. Wyatt Langford hit a 3-run home run in the 9th inning to tie the game. Then Jonah Heim hit a 2-run blast in the 10th to lift the Rangers past the Red Sox 9-7. The Mets ended a 4-game losing skid with a 9-1 shellacking of the A's. Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor went deep for New York. Cincinnati rolled past St. Louis 9-2. Jonathan India and TJ Friedl hit 2 home runs each for the Reds. The Blue Jays were 9-2 winners over the Angels. Dalton Varsho with a 3-run home run for Toronto. NFL news, Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will miss the season after undergoing surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee. Browns linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah has received a 3-year, $39 million contract extension, and the Patriots have traded all-pro edge rusher Matthew Judon to the Falcons for a 3rd-round draft pick. Mike Reeves, AP Sports.
Days on Tiro. And for the Saipan Paddling Club, it's time to row their boat for the 2024 Micro Cup. And you can get on board with their raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th. Tickets are just $1 and the grand prize is $200. All proceeds go to get the paddlers to the Micro Cup and help get them uniforms so they represent the CNMI in style. So support your local paddlers and buy a bunch of raffle tickets for your chance to win the $200 grand prize. Just go to the Saipan Paddling Club Facebook page for more information. That's the Saipan Paddling Club raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th at 3 p.m. Don't be a drip. Help with their trip. All right, welcome back, Marianas. We are back, and we have one of our special guests today in studio. We talked about him quite a bit before leading up to it to let you know that this was going to be something that we were going to have. And we've been talking about this issue for the last week about everything that's happening with Managaha and Marianas Global and the impact that their proposed changes with Department of Public Lands is going to have on the marine sports operators. Many of them have been here, over 30 years since the original agreements and rules and regulations for Managaha were set up. But now to help talk about it with us a little bit is attorney Mark Scoggins. He is he's representing a number of them, and he's in studio with us. So Mark, thanks so much for being with us.
Great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come talk to your people.
Yep. And so you are not the first person to get a little bit of this coaching. The closer you get to the microphone, the better it's going to be for all of us to hear you. Thanks so much. That's the kind of stuff I could have told you before you got on. So again, thanks so much for being on here today. And, we were able to talk to you at Public Lands and hear a little bit about the impact or the proposed changes would have on the marine sports operators. And maybe you can recap that a little bit for us too.
Sure. I'm an attorney here. I've been an attorney here for 18 years. I've been located in the same office for the entire 18 years, which is just around the corner from your studio here. Mm-hmm. And 12 years ago, my office became involved in this issue because 12 years ago, DPL tried to change the rules regarding the commercial use of Managaha in the benefit of the previous concessionaire. So what's happening right now is very, very similar to the situation that happened 12 years ago. I was the lead attorney in that case 12 years ago, along with my former partner who sadly passed away. Everyone, I think, will remember Matt Smith. Right. And so we had this issue. We fought this battle 12 years ago, and now it's come back. It's a very similar situation to what we had 12 years ago, and we're trying to get it resolved in a way that will continue to benefit the tourism economy of the CNMI. Just some background and some explanation of what's going on. This is an area of law that we call administrative law. Administrative agencies such as DPL or CUC or DPW or the Civil Service Commission, etc., whenever they want to try to make rules that impact the rest of us, they have to go through a process. And that process is set out in the law. And if they don't go through that process, those rules that they've tried to make are not valid. 12 years ago, what happened was that the previous concessionaire, they had been in business, they'd been running Monongahela for 20 years at that point, but 20 years into their concession, they decided that they didn't like the fact that there were other smaller marine sports operators that were competing with them. The rules that are there have been in place for 30 years, and these smaller operators have been allowed under the rules to operate in the manner that they do for that entire time. But 20 years into the concession, the previous concessionaire said, we don't like this, and they said to DPL, change the rules, please. And so DPL did change the rules, but they didn't do it properly. What they did was they sent a letter, just a letter to all of the operators and said, you can't do this anymore. We took a look at that, and the law is really pretty clear on this, that that's not the proper way to do it. And we went and, we tried to communicate with them and explain to them that they hadn't done it properly, and they didn't really listen to us, so we had to file a lawsuit. Filed a lawsuit in June of 2012, and the whole basis of the lawsuit at that time was, hey, they tried to change the rules, but they didn't do it properly. They didn't follow the process properly to change the rules. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to come talk to you this morning, because there's been some comment in the media this week about this issue. So one of the comments that's been made this week is that DPL is sort of saying now is, well, the judge told us 12 years ago that we didn't go through the process properly when we wanted to change these rules. So now that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to go through the process properly so we can properly change the rules. That's accurate to a degree. The judge did say that. The judge did tell them that. But it doesn't give the full story about what actually happened 12 years ago, and it's very relevant to what's going on right now. We filed our case in June of 2012, and because of the procedural way that that case was handled, about a month later, the judge in the case was required to give a sort of preliminary ruling about what he thought about the case. That doesn't happen in every legal case, but it had to happen in this particular case. What the judge said about a month into the previous lawsuit, among other things, what he said was, I've looked at this and it looks like the marine sports operators are likely going to win this case. He made a preliminary determination that we had a likelihood of success on the merits of the case. And it was clear, this area of law is pretty simple, and if either the agency does what it's required or it doesn't. In this case, they didn't do it. And so the judge let them know that that's what had happened. This was July of 2012 when that ruling came out. What happened next? Well, what happened next was DPL and the concessionaire at the time, they got together and they said, we're going to lose this case. We're going to lose this case. So we've got to figure out some other way to handle it. And what they did was, in August of 2012, they went ahead and they started trying to do it correctly. They went ahead and they published these regulations that would change the rules for Monongahela, and they tried to do it properly. If they had succeeded on this, the judge would have had nothing to say about it. The case would have been moot. And in fact, the judge shut our case down for a while. He put a stay on our case for a while this new process started playing out, while the DPL, these new proposed regulations that they were trying to do correctly in the middle of our case was going through that process. And so they published these proposed regulations. We went into what's called a public comment period. The agency publishes, the public gets 30 days to comment on those proposed rules. That's exactly what happened here in this situation. Last month, DPL published their proposed rules on July 15th. There was a 30-day public comment period. It just ended a couple of days ago, as you know. But anyway, 12 years ago, we went into this public comment period. There were several hundred members of the community who gave their public comments on this, about 300, I think. I know this because I was the one who coordinated it. I was the one who actually delivered these public comments to DPL at the time. And we had a hearing at the legislature. Most of the legislators were on our side on this. And then finally, it went several months, and DPL didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to adopt their new proposed regulations or not. Finally, in February of 2013, I and my former partner, Mr. Smith, and several of the operators, we went up to Capitol Hill and we had a meeting with the then Governor Eloy Enos, and he listened to what we had to say, and he understood the impact that this was going to have on the tourism economy and on jobs in the CNMI, and he shut it down. So they're saying now, well, we just didn't go through the process this time. That's not accurate. They did go through the process last time. They tried to go through the process last time, but it didn't work because it was a bad idea then, and it's a bad idea now. That's what really happened, and that's what's going on now.
So now they're going through the process now. There's a hearing tonight, a public meeting tonight?
That's right. The public comment period just ended on Wednesday, and tonight they're having a public hearing on that issue at 5:30. They'll have another public hearing on Monday night, so anybody who has an opinion about this issue is welcome to come and tell DPL what they think. And people need to understand that a lot of people are going to go out of business if this goes through. And a lot of your friends and neighbors are going to lose their jobs if this goes through. That's another thing that sort of bothered me about comments that have been made recently about this issue. People from DPL have been saying, well, we've thought about this issue of businesses closing, and you should read these regulations more carefully because we've dealt with this issue in our regulations. What they mean when they say that is there is a provision in these regulations that says that there will be, they will allow what they're calling sub-concessionaires. So if DPL approves, and the concessionaire together, if they approve one of these companies to act as a so-called sub-concessionaire, then those companies will still be allowed to operate. What they don't understand, I think they don't know. I'm the only one left who was dealing with this issue 12 years ago. 3 of the attorneys who were dealing with it back then have passed away.
Wow.
Several others have left. Gil Burnbrick is still here, but his involvement was not really. He was involved, but he wasn't really the lead attorney for DPL at that time. But what people don't understand about this idea that there will be sub-concessionaires allowed is we tried that last time, and it doesn't work.
Is that because the main concessionaire is not a big fan? They get the ability to approve or deny as well, right?
They do get the ability to approve or deny a sub-concessionaire, and the concessionaire's ability to sort of control the issue was definitely one of the problems and one of the reasons why this effort to allow for a sub-concessionaire failed 12 years ago. And I could go into a lot more detail about why that is, but really the main point of that is this business, this marine sports industry is a really tough business to be in. It's very competitive, and the margins, the profit margins for it are tight. You really have to be an efficient business operator, business owner to make money in this industry in the best of times. And of course, 12 years ago, we were in a completely different economic world than we are now. And anyway, they tried to do this. They tried to have a sub-concessionaire agreement, but it just doesn't work because the margins are so tight that if one of these so-called sub-concessionaires is trying to do their business while at the same time kicking something up to the concessionaire, there's just no way for that business to survive. There were other problems with it back then that didn't work, but that's the main issue. You just can't survive in this industry as a sub-concessionaire. The other thing that they're not saying or not acknowledging about the current situation is, even if they could make this sub-concessionaire situation work economically, there's only room for just a few, maybe one or two sub-concessionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And there's way more than just one or two companies that are involved in this industry. And so maybe one or two will get this opportunity, but the rest will absolutely go out of business and their employees will lose their jobs. That's the bottom line.
And, so listening to you speak about it when we were at DPL, outside of DPL the other day, is really interesting because hearing what the main gist of this is. So your marine sports operators are not set up on Managaha. They do not have a kiosk on Managaha. They are not on the beach of Managaha soliciting the people who are already on island to go and do these water sports on Managaha, right? These are folks who are operating on Saipan, and their businesses they'll transport people to and from Managaha. And whether it's going to Managaha or coming back from Managaha, they will take them out and do all those activities, right? So if you're leaving, let's say, the beach outside of the Crown, they pick them up over there and they do banana boats on the way, and then they drop them off on Managaha. Then on their way back, they'll take them out parasailing or something. This is essentially it, right?
That's exactly it. Our tourists, very, very rightfully so, are focused on Managaha. That's where they want to go. That's where they want to do their activities. And the concessionaire has an exclusive license or exclusive concession to conduct economic commercial activity on Managaha. Our clients, these other businesses, do not do any kind of commercial activity at all on Managaha. All they really do in terms of their contact with Managaha is they drop customers off and they pick them up. And that's all they do. And in between time, they conduct marine sports activity. So they'll pick somebody up from their hotel, take them to the marina, take them out to Managaha. On the way, they will do some parasailing, drop a few off, take some more out to do their banana boating, drop a few off, go out parasailing again. And that's how they operate. The only contact that they have with Managaha is picking up and dropping off. The current regulations specifically say that the concession does not include the exclusive right for the concessionaire to pick up and drop off customers on Managaha. Other companies have always been allowed to do that for 30 years, except for this brief period of time in 2012 when they tried to change the rules. For more than 30 years, these other companies have been allowed to conduct their business in this way, and that's all we're asking for. We're just asking for DPL to allow us to continue doing what we've always done. We're not asking for any special favor. We've already been given the right to do that more than 30 years ago, and we're just asking for it to continue.
Well, it seems like a no-brainer, especially with if it doesn't involve Managaha. Again, they're not setting up business there. They're not recruiting tourists there to their businesses on Managaha. They're doing this all in Saipan. They're doing all of it ahead of time, and they're taking people out either on the way or on the way back to do all the activities. It seems to me that has no impact on Managaha at all, and there should be no regulation about that at all. That part's easy. Now, there is something I do think is interesting, though. So, like, what makes sense to me is the idea of the food at the picnic tables, specifically at, like, by their I'll just call it a restaurant, but their eatery that they have out there. I mean, that part I can understand. At least for me, it makes sense, because it's like you can't go to McDonald's and just bring your own food in there, right? So that part I can understand where they might have some pushback. But there is another public area with picnic tables, like right when you get off the ramp, right? I think that should be fine. Like, people should be able to bring whatever food that they're having and want to eat there. Of course, all the Palas around the island and stuff like that. But to give them a hard time about what they do on their transit between Saipan and Managaha, seems like it has no chance that they should have any say on that if they're the master concessionaire of Managaha.
Well, I think that's right. And like I said a few minutes ago, the only contact that our clients have with Managaha is picking people up and dropping them off. And what these new regulations basically say is, if they do marine sports activities before or after they pick someone up or drop someone off, they are not allowed to land on Managaha again. So think about that, right? Public lands is, they have authority to manage public lands. But what they're really saying is, if you're out there in the water doing a parasail, we're not going to allow you to come back onto public lands. They're regulating what happens in the water. They're not regulating what happens on public lands. And I defy anyone to show me how the Department of Public Lands has the authority to regulate what happens on the water.
And one of the other points you brought up when we were outside public lands was about the impact that'll have to the businesses in Saipan, period, if this thing goes through, that a lot of them aren't going to be able to maintain their operation. They're going to have to close. So they won't even just be affecting the businesses that operate with Managaha. They will be operating negatively businesses that would just operate for tourists in Saipan.
The way that this worked 12 years ago was that the concessionaire was really focused on the marine sports, and they really wanted that part of their competition to go away. They were not focused on the food aspect so much. It was a little bit of a complaint that they had back then, and they weren't focused on the aspect of flotation devices like they are now. So our thinking about this has changed a little bit in those 12 years, because now the new concessionaire is thinking about these other issues. But like I said the other day, it doesn't just affect the marine sports industry. There are shops on the island. I think a lot of people don't recognize this, because most of us who live here don't go into these particular shops. They're geared toward the tourists only. Mm-hmm. But you go into one of these shops and you can rent your own life jacket or a snorkel or something like that to take out there to use. And that is one of the things that they're focused on now. They're saying that if you bring your own life jacket out to Managaha, or if you bring a rented life jacket out onto Managaha, you will not be allowed to use that in the designated swimming area, which to me is just absolutely insane. As you know, the designated swimming area there, that's the area where they have the lifeguard. And they're saying that a kid who comes out there with his family and needs to have a life jacket can't use that life jacket in the designated swimming area only because they brought it there themselves, right? So any of these other businesses that rent life jackets, they won't be able to do that anymore. There are other businesses that make their living by preparing bentos, for example, for people to take with them through their day as they go to Managaha or wherever else. people won't, as you say, they'll still be allowed to bring food on Manigaha, but it will be restricted about where they can consume it, and that's the point, right? That's the point. And that sort of leads me to the third issue that's really sort of bothered me in the last week or so about comments that have been made on this issue. You know, the comment was made that they're just cleaning up this sort of mess that they made 12 years ago by not properly changing the rules, and they actually said that the current concessionaire did not ask them to do what they're doing right now. Right? Now, I don't know, because I wasn't there, whether the concessionaire actually asked them, in the sense of, I don't know if they came to DPL and said, hey, please change the rules for us, right? I don't know if that happened or not. So it might be literally true that they didn't ask for it. But what I can tell you is that the concessionaire has been complaining to DPL about these issues for months. We started dealing with this several months ago. They've been complaining about people bringing their own parasols. They've been complaining about people bringing their own life jackets. They've been complaining about people bringing their own food. And they've been complaining about the other marine sports operators for months. And those are the three areas of the rules that DPL is changing. So maybe they didn't ask for it, but they've certainly been complaining about it. And the only rule changes that are being made are rule changes that have economic benefit for the concessionaire and economic detriment to everybody else, including the general public.
You know, it just seems to me in a free market economy and that they have to realize that what they're trying to do is just change the playing field. It sounds to me, based on everything you're saying, is that they just don't do a good enough job marketing themselves in Saipan to try to get all that business in the first place, or up their game to say that they've got it. But especially with regards to like the safety issues, when people come to Manigaha, they're paying a fee. When the tourists come to Manigaha, they're paying a fee. And that fee is not just the visit Manigaha fee. That covers them being able to go in the swimming area and everything as well, right?
Right.
So by them bringing their own stuff, they're already paying the fee for that. And now they're saying you have to get that. It makes me think of like those movies where you see like you've got the workers working in the mine who have to rent the tools from the person that's their employer to go out there and work in that mine. It just seems ridiculous that's something that would exist. So in this instance, people can get whatever gear they want here in Saipan from those shops. And they're trying to save money, probably, getting a deal, bringing all that stuff over there with them. And if Marianas Global is really intent on making money on that sort of thing, they could either capitalize on people who haven't been able to see those shops, or they should set up a shop in Saipan also to get people ahead of time to try to get that kind of business. But right now, you're trying to just shut people out altogether from even being able to have activities in transit instead of hopping on one of their boats. It seems a way over the top.
Well, I agree. To be fair to the concessionaire, they do pay a lot of money, right, for their concession. And one of the things that they do in exchange for that concession, in addition to paying the money, is they take care of that island for us. And the original concessionaire did that. They did that for about 25 years. They did a phenomenal job of taking care of Manigaha for the rest of us. It's called the Jewel of the Marianas for a reason, and it's the most beautiful place I think I've ever seen. And the concessionaires who have taken care of that island deserve a whole lot of credit for what they've done to maintain and take care of that island for us. But one of the other things that they receive is the exclusive right to conduct commercial activity on Manigaha. Another thing I will say, to be fair to them, is really none of us can help the situation that we're in right now. The economy is terrible. They're paying a lot of money they're supposed to be paying a lot of money. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, the newspaper yesterday said that they weren't actually paying.
Yeah, that's something. I'm looking at it right now. It says, according to Managaha Island Master Concessionaire Operator Agreement between DPL and Marianas Global, they're supposed to pay $800,000 a month. But then they came out saying that they haven't been paying for that.
It's a lot of money. And I think that it's pretty clear that they're not making money, that they're losing money, right? But that's not our fault. It's just the fact that there aren't enough tourists out here right now to make the money. Like I said before, in the best of times, this business is not easy. And the original concessionaire, that company, I think some people don't know, that company was actually controlled by a Japanese company called JTB, Japan Travel Bureau, which is the largest tour agency, or one of the very largest and most powerful tour agencies in the world. And that's why they had the Manigaha concession. It was part of what they used to attract their Japanese tourists to our island for that 25 years that they were in control. And you're right. Part of what the concessionaire does or should do as part of what they have out there is market what they have. And the current concessionaire is a Korean company, and of course we love our Korean tourists and we want a lot more of them here. But there's only so much that we as people living here can do, and certainly a Korean company that's in the tourism business can and should be doing all that they can to bring more Korean tourists to our island. And so, they deserve some credit, they deserve some sympathy, but they certainly don't deserve to be able to throw a lot of our people out of work and out of business.
Well, it seems to me like if the real issue is if they're not making enough money because there aren't enough tourists, that they should be approaching public lands and asking for a reduction in the amount that they're paying.
I agree with that 100%, and of course the government never likes to give up any money. But the fact is that over the years, when the original concessionaire was in place, over those years, there were adjustments that were made to the way in which the concessionaire was compensated for what they do. Adjustments to how the landing fee, for example, is applied. And those adjustments were always made at the request of the concessionaire, and they were always made for the benefit of the concessionaire so that they could make some more money out of their concession, but at the same time, take good care of Manigaha for the rest of us.
So I'm just going to run through some of the comments real quick, and from some of our viewers. Of course, some JJ says, "Hey, good morning, Mark." Ann says, "What a bad reputation for future investors, especially knowing it's been an issue with the first lessee." Peeling says, "They should treat Manigaha like the intention of the Boost program. Multiple businesses to boost the economy. Common sense works if used properly." Another one, plenty of Nostradamus in DPL, but in reality, only a bunch of Nostradamus. Like, nice. Another Ann saying, Marianas Global leasing a particular area on Manigaha. What rights do they have with the beach and the waters? Another comment saying, if they cannot operate without a monopoly, then the government needs to lower Marianas Global fees to accommodate different operators, not a monopoly. And says you can't over squeeze the lemon because it gets bitter. Another one, Manigaha is too small to do a monopoly, need to share with other businesses. And I think that just about covers everything on the comment section from us. Mark, I think we got a lot from it. I really appreciate you coming in today. We've got folks going to tell us about some of the other cool things that are happening in Saipan after we're done. But is there anything you'd want the folks to really take away from this issue? As you got the big thing tonight, you get Monday, also another public meeting going on?
I really appreciate the comments that people are making. We are getting a lot of support from the community on this issue. I think everybody understands that this rule change, if it goes through, is really going to harm a lot of our neighbors and friends and family members. So anybody who has an opinion about this issue, come on down to DPL tonight or on Monday night and make your voice heard. This is why they do it. This is why they have a public hearing and a public comment period, because when, like I said, when administrative agencies try to change rules that affect the rest of us, we all get a voice in that process. And that's the stage of the process that we're in right now. So thank you to everybody who's supporting us and come out. Thank you, Brad, for having me this morning.
Well, thanks for coming in. It's an issue that we're really interested in. These are a lot of our friends. These are our neighbors who are going through all this stuff. And then, of course, it impacts us. I mean, nobody likes to be told they can't do anything. And this one just really doesn't seem like fair for anyone. Mark, thanks so much for being on with us this morning. Really appreciate having you. Here's one more comment came in. NBA spent millions of dollars and still our economy is on ICU, and time will determine when to pull the plug. All right. Well, thanks for that appealing. Appreciate that. Thanks. Watching from Guam, too. Thank you so much for being in here. We're going to take a real quick break just to give you a little transition between our next guest that we've got coming in here. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back with our guest from the Office of Planning and Development just after this.
For every generation, it has started with the call to serve. Discovering the purpose and the belonging earned with the title. Learning to dig deep and push through adversity together. Defending our nation and its people. It is a life of great worth and reward. But Marines are never really finished serving. Their commitment comes full circle, visible in communities across our country. This is Semper Fidelis, always faithful, always Marine, marking a path for the next generation.
To be up 3-0, I'll tell you that. It probably is not great to be down 3-0.
I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Ocean.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it, and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, it's just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you could choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
Is built. We lead by example, persistence to build. Be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book. We be a lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence to build. Be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
Good morning, Marianas, and welcome back. Well, the music's a little loud for you, huh? Well, that's how we like it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is 8:40 a.m. here on Friday. It's a little too early to get your happy hour started, but it's going to get a lot happier because we've got a lot of great things happening in the Marianas. You think that the economy's not great? Maybe. You think we don't have enough tourists yet? Well, maybe. But that doesn't mean we don't have a lot of cool things happening out here in the CNMI, because we absolutely do. In fact, we're heard about it this week about this great new project that's going to be happening in Oleai. It's going to benefit the entire community. Everyone's going to love it. And we want to get some more information about it. We talked about it a little bit yesterday when we opened the show about the Oleai Cultural Events Center. And it's going to be massive, and it's going to be, and we're really looking forward to it. So we reached out to the Office of Planning and Development, and what do you know? We got the guy who knows everything about the whole thing. Somebody we heard a lot about over the years too, but we finally get to meet him in person in studio. I want to give a warm welcome to Mariano Iglesias, who is the civil engineer over at the Office of Planning and Development. Mariano, great. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you for having me, and good morning, Marianas.
You know, we were talking really briefly. We had Mark was here, and then the transition when you were coming in, and he's like, well, I finally got to meet you. I'm like, it's finally I got to meet you. I heard so much about you years ago when I was coming into CUC. And I kept hearing about this guy, Mariano, this guy where everybody likes this guy. Everybody loves this guy. He's so sharp. He's so smart. And there's so much promise with this guy who's coming in and everything. And just hear the legend of your greatness. And now you're over there as a civil engineer with all your great background and personality. And now you got this great project to introduce to the CNMI.
Yes, thank you for that. You give me too much credit, Brad, and thank you for that. I know that we've missed each other. You were coming in. I was probably on my way out at CUC at that time. But anyway, I'm at the Office of the Planning and Development. I have been assigned to provide technical support for the Oleai Sports Complex and the Cultural Center, which was funded by the Economic Development Administration at a tune of $2.16 million.
Wow. Is it 2.1? I saw it in the paper they put 21.
I'm sorry, 21.16. I was trying to round up the numbers, so 21.2, but I'm sorry about that.
Hey,
I misspoke.
It's a lot of millions, so we can put it that way. And that's incredible. So let's dive into it. I want to ask you all that questions. Can you tell us, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? Introduce yourself to me now and to our viewers.
Yes, so basically on a personal level, I'm born and raised here, married to my lovely wife, Pauline. We have 4 kids, and they're all grown, and so we're empty nesters. And so anyway, made my mark with CUC for 20 plus years, and of course I was sent out to a fellowship program that was developed at CUC in the hopes of coming back and contributing more. Unfortunately, that has not panned out yet. Okay, and so I made my way back to the CNMI via Seattle. I landed a job at Seattle as a project officer for the economic development. And I was sent out here in 2018, a month after Typhoon U2, to do damage assessment and see how EDA can extend its services to help the CNMI bring back its economy. And so having been sent here on numerous missions, helping out the local leadership at that time, we were able to come up with 7 big projects. And we were able to award, EDA was able to award close to $97 million of disaster relief. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. This is a disaster relief funding that was made available through a presidential declaration in 2019.
Wow.
And so the CNMI got the brunt of that allocation, disaster allocation. It was $190 million that was set aside for the Seattle regional region office, and so and that spans 13 states and 3 other territories. And so the CNMI got close to $100 million out of the 190. So
wow,
a lot of investment that was placed here with the goal of rejuvenating and recovering from the disaster, right? And so hence you have unheard of amounts that EDA awarded on this project, the Olay Sports Complex and the Cultural Center being the largest that EDA had ever awarded. And so we're here on the ground, I'm here on the ground to make sure that we make good on that award.
Well, first of all, that's incredible.
Yes.
Right. So I'm really excited to hear all about this. Now, I've only read a little bit about this from what we saw in the Variety yesterday, or from 2 days ago, but I didn't see it. I just saw it yesterday. But people were sending me the photos and all this. I'm like, this place is going to look crazy. So let's start with that. It looks like it's a really big project, but let's take it in 2 little pieces. Maybe we'll start with that cultural center.
Sure.
And so what can you tell us about the cultural center part of it?
Okay, so the Cultural Center, which is going to be located directly in front of the Guma Justicia, which is the courthouse. Right in front of that whole civic center, basketball court area. If you imagine the space there, just north of the Coast 360, I think is the restaurant there, or West Coast. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And north of that, and all the way north to the property that exits out of the Guma segment. So that whole space there is going to be the cultural center.
Wow. Yeah, it's massive. I mean, I'm looking at, so where you've got like the canoe house and everything, what do they call it? Guma Sakman, right? And you got that at the far north end of it, all the way down to the south. It looks like you're putting in like a bunch of parking. There's like a kind of I don't know if it's called a roundabout because it's just kind of like a half circle, amphitheater, all those kiosks, all that. It looks absolutely incredible. So you designed all this?
So we have an A&E firm that is assisting us with the design. We're at 60% phase right now. We are working with our A&E, the architecture and engineering firm, and so we are working closely with them. We just had a town hall meeting a couple evenings ago, where the Office of Indigenous Affairs Office, hosted a town hall meeting to get the community's input on naming the facility. Right now, it's just generically named Cultural Center, and so our A&E firm got back to us and say, we need to kind of name this project officially, titled. And so, and that's why we went out and had the town hall meeting, was to get public's input, of course. Every step of the way, we've had stakeholder meetings. We've invited the general public, and as well as all of the major stakeholders that is going to be greatly involved with the product after we finish constructing the facility.
So has anybody submitted the name, the Mariano Iglesias Cultural Center? No.
No, unfortunately, it was kind of like getting a feel for the community's input. We did not get to a list of names, but we will have, I believe, the Indigenous Affairs Office has announced that there will be holding another round of meeting to discuss possible names, and so of course that would be announced.
It's incredible. So of that $21.6 million that's for the overall project, how much of it looks like it's going to be devoted for this part?
So we are internally where we have decided to kind of divide it equally because it's actually a two-part project. That's we're trying to fund that. We're trying to make this $21.16 million work, right? So, on the north side of the property, which is across the street, the gymnasium, right in back of that is the proposed plan to construct a Olympic-sized swimming pool, and also tennis courts for our tennis enthusiasts.
Wow! So that's the big part. Now, over there, I remember. Before the mini games, were you back by that time?
Yes.
So but by that time, I had a conversation with Jeff Race, who's the national tennis coach, and he was thinking that was going to happen. There were going to be some tennis courts over there, and then potentially a pool. But then he was talking about like running out of space for the room, for the land and everything. So is that part of this? Is there going to be an increased a bit of land over there?
Unfortunately, time is of the essence, right? And so the folks over at the gym was not able to add or acquire more property. Unfortunately, we were only able to accommodate in the design for 2 tennis courts plus a warm-up wall. And I think the Tennis Federation Association would have loved to have 4 courts instead of 2. Unfortunately, because of space that we're working with, we're constrained with that, and that's all we can afford to construct. But of course, the design is there. You can always construct later on, right? And so it's not a deal breaker. Right, you already have the design. You can construct 2, and then construct 2 later, right? And so, I think there is a silver lining in that.
Well, I think it's going to be great. I haven't seen the designs that we saw in the paper are mostly the cultural center.
Yes.
Do we have like similar artist renderings for OLEI Sports Center?
We do have some renderings. We are still at the 30% design phase with the sports complex, and so we do have some very, very rough renderings of what the space would look like. We can probably make that available as soon as we reach back to our A&E. It's a different A&E for the sports complex, and so we're also working diligently with our A&E firm to speed up the design on the sports complex side.
Well, I'm a sports guy, and really, I should say I used to be a sports guy, but I'm still a sports guy, and I love the idea of the pools. One of the things I miss was swimming with a swim coach at our pool up in Marpy before that thing stopped being a real pool. Now it's just a pit more than anything. So having something like that at the OLEI Sports Complex would be incredible to have.
Yes, and so that was kind of like the real synergy behind, you know, that part of the proposal when it was submitted to EDA at that time. We actually, the cinema actually, for their part, leadership at that time retained the services of, Bob Codine and what's his name? The pitcher.
Chris
Nelson. Yeah. And so they did an incredible video of the sports, environment for the cinema, and made a pitch to include, constructing the swimming pool, the baseball facilities, right, and what these facilities had meant for the cinema prior to the typhoon. And that video just kind of captures, the true essence of sports tourism, and that was kind of like the linchpin that made the awarding more acceptable by the federal bureaucracies that happen. That do happen in the federal site, and so, but having to have that perspective from sports people, that are greatly ingrained in the sports environment here in the cinema. It did a remarkable job in pitching for that project, and it's on YouTube. Anyone can look it up. It's available, and it's very, very moving. So much so that even before the award was awarded, it was featured as one of our all EDA meeting. And it wasn't even a project, and
Wow.
It was touted as one of the success stories for the Seattle regional office, and we were still trying to put together the nuts and bolts to present a final proposal for the investment review committee to and so that's how great it was. I mean, as far as the video, it was very moving. The stories that was told, and so I encourage people to look it up. I'm sure some of the people that surf the YouTube, it's on YouTube. I will find the link for that and share it with you, so that this is something that's not known to the locals here. Just the stories behind the scenes on the federal side. Our regional director, I think we were blessed to have Mr. Leonard Smith advocate for the cinema, especially after a devastating typhoon.
Man, I really want to see that. I haven't seen that video. So, one of the things when I think about the Oleai Sports Complex, it's great. I've been going there basically since I got here, and I'm really familiar with the layout and everything. But I know that there's, again, a land restriction, there's not a whole lot of space behind the track. There's a lot of land over there, but it's privately owned, right?
Yes.
And then the softball field, Tom Gay Field, is really, it's been pretty run down for at least 15 years, if not maybe longer, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if that's, now that they've done so much work with Capitol Hill Field, and most people are going up there for Little League and for softball, does this project include still using Tom Gay Field, or is that one of the locations for tennis or for swimming, or where would you put all this stuff?
So that was actually one of the discussions during our, trying to find extra space for even perhaps moving the swimming pool to that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, the management over at the gym wanted to, see if they can acquire more land, the land behind the gym there, and unfortunately, time is really is of the essence. We are running into year 2 already at that time when we were discussing possible options for placement of our facility, and that would have made it a much more would give us more wiggle room and breathing room in terms of how we can design, and so place these facilities. Unfortunately, but that space is still there, and I think there are plans for a Little League field. But of course, I cannot speak for what the ultimate decisions for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say even westward of the track, there's a considerable amount of land between the road and the track and field. That wouldn't even be a bad location for it. I think there's enough space for it.
Yes. And so, like I said, that would be a decision that would be made by DCCA and the management that manages the sports complex, right? And so, but I do want to kind of get into some specifics of the sports complex.
Okay.
What we're doing there, we are planning on designing or adding a batting cage. And also a bullpen for our major league. So on both sides, just like a major league stadium, picture a bullpen space for the bullpen staff, and then a batting cage right next to it, so that players can warm up their batting, and that was one of the major asks for the Baseball Association. And then, of course, with the swimming pool, it's an Olympic-sized swimming pool. It's going to be a modular unit. And the way it's going to be designed, we will have the civil works done here, the foundations and all that, and then put in the rest of the components of the swimming pool. It's going to have an electronic timer on the wall where it's a touch timer.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
That's like Olympic level.
Yes, and then you have markings on the floor, plus you have your floating ring lanes, and then lighting for the pool. We're going to have spectator benches, and also going to be ADA accessible. We're going to have a roof over it, hopefully have a roof over it, so that we can catch the rain, and that will kind of like replenish the pool water, kind of like thinking green and utilizing what Mother Nature provides us. And so utilizing that water and just circulating it, treating it, and hopefully, that would be sustainable for, the uses. Yeah.
This is incredible. Yeah. This is going to be outstanding. When are you running for governor, Mariano? This is great stuff.
I have no political aspirations. No, thank you. Yes.
But I mean, like, this stuff is just so great to hear. I can't wait to see the designs for that when it's ready. Because, man, the OLEI Sports Complex is a great meeting place for the people in the Marianas. You've got where folks from all walks of life come together for all the sports. Right now for Little League, but for track and field in particular, because there's a ton of folks who come out for it. For baseball that's out there, for basketball, for all, and not just basketball, all the activities that happen in the gym, whether it's volleyball or badminton, you name it, there's all kinds of stuff. And it is something that really brings the people of the CNMI together and get to know each other.
Yep.
And having stuff like this, even including more opportunities for, like, again, swimming and then tennis. This is outstanding.
Yes. We wanna bring back the Giants, right, from Japan, and the Korean teams for their spring training. Spring training, right? And so it is our hope to once we get these amenities up and constructed, that it's something that we can showcase and say, come here. We have the facilities, and hopefully that would entice regional sports team, professional sports team, and that's kind of like the goal there. The swimming pool, of course, our swimmers for many years has put us on the map, and that's why they deserve something, a good facility, right? And so something for our kids to practice and learn how to swim, and and win more recognition, and then that's what the cinema is known for in the sports world, other than baseball, right? And so and then I'm very excited. As soon as it's done, I know the community will benefit greatly from this, and hopefully for years to come.
Well, you nailed it in what you were saying about getting other people to learn how to swim. It's one of the sad things is that there's not many people who know how to swim out here. It's not as big as you would think. And having something like that centrally located definitely is going to spark some interest. Actually, it's also going to make it more accessible to folks because it's in such a centrally located place too. That I think we already have some top-notch tennis players. We have some top-notch swimmers. But now we're going to get a lot more of them. A lot more people are going to have access to this kind of stuff.
Exactly. And, that's the outcome that we would like to see happening, right, is to use these facilities and, make good of them.
What a cool job you have. I like doing stuff like this, Mariano. Yes. This is great stuff.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm dark already, being out in the field, manning other projects as well, and I wouldn't trade it. I mean, desk jobs are nice and an aircon, but seeing things created and seeing that it's going to do good for the community, that brings joy, makes me want to come to work every day.
That's awesome. I'm going to scroll through and just run through some of the comments that came in while we were talking quite a bit. So I've got to keep going up there. People talking about going back. This goes all the way back to when we first started talking. People saying, like, it looks great, like a great spot for the street market. Looks like Guam's Chamorro Village, but nicer. They're talking about the cultural center. He said, let the vendors pay the cultural center for facility usage. That way you'll always have money for maintenance. Here's one thing, though. It's kind of sad, though, that we won't see the basketball court there anymore. It's been there forever, a popular spot for players. That is one thing that would end up going. That is a pretty popular spot. Also, you got, is it the Philcom
Yep.
Pavilion is there as well?
Unfortunately, that's also going to be gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the trade-off is, of course, we're going to construct something that's, is going to bring the benefits, right? And this is probably down the road. Maybe there are properties down further south, maybe that can, be looked at to construct the outdoor basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be a possibility. The Susupi Beach Park, right? That's another area where that can be constructed just as an option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not telling anybody where to put stuff, but and of course it's not the same as the Civic Center. I grew up CK area and having to go to the Civic Center, and of course there's sentimental value. I mean, people see that place torn down, but of course the benefit of having to construct these facilities will outweigh, it's going to bring in more, and hopefully we can construct facilities that will, take the place of what we're taking away.
Yeah, it is a great spot, and it is a centrally located spot. The good news is we don't have a shortage of basketball courts here, so people can shift up north to Garapan, or they can go south to Lally 4 and check it out, which, by the way, that was a place that could use some love for sure. Let me just get back to some of the comments, too. Us from Peeling. Beautiful planning, my brother Mariano Iglesias. Thank you for playing a big role in moving forward. Luis is saying that the Cultural Center should be named after someone who advocated for our culture, since it's a cultural center. Joe Bot saying, hey, freaking amazing projections. They love this idea. And then Ann had an idea, an overhead walkway from the beach to the gym.
So actually that was part of the scope of work, right? And unfortunately, because of the construction constraint, we did an assessment on the cultural center at 30%, and constructing all of the features that we had on the the scope of work was around $20 million. And so, we have to be smart about the money that we have. And so we want to make sure that we take care of the sports and take care of the cultural center. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to phase out. We're going to phase certain parts of the scope of work, the plans. We're going to design everything. But yes, the walkway was actually originally part of the, to tie in the sports complex and the culture center. It was an overpass, a walkway overpass from the parking lot at the gym over to the culture center. And unfortunately, because of the money, we might not be able to construct that.
Well, Ann said, just get the old jetways from the airport and make use of that. Use that as the bridge. Let's see what else we've got here, too. Sorry, these things just keep coming up, and I'm losing them here. Parking will be crazy. How about a 2-story parking structure, says Luisa. Also, Ann says, thank you, Mr. Iglesias, for putting the money to work. I said, yeah, the plans on the sports side is awesome. Looking forward to it. What do you think about that? 2-story parking structure over there.
Parking is always an issue, even with our other projects in Garapan. Of course, we have to be smart about, the limited space. Unfortunately, that comes with the price, right? And so we do have parking. Unfortunately, the parking structure would take up a lot of the money as well that would otherwise go to other elements of the project. But that's something that can be designed later at a later date. Mm-hmm. We are looking at utilizing the off hours parking space from the Guma Justicia, even down towards the multipurpose center, the sports complex, and also the Kalili Beach parking. So I know those are kind of like a little bit far out from the facility, but that's kind of like the planning that we have right now is to kind of utilize those off hours parking for those events. Yes.
Sounds great. Well, geez, thanks so much for taking the time to share this stuff. I know there's a lot of other projects that you have going on and a lot of other things you're focused on, and I'd love to hear all of them. I know we're not going to hear them all today, but this is all to say, open invitation. Let's schedule it to have you come down a lot and tell us about all the great work you guys are doing.
I'll be more than happy to come back and tell your listeners, our viewers, about the great things that's happening in terms of infrastructure that we're working on. We do have the Garapan revitalization that I am currently monitoring and managing in Garapan. And so be happy to come back and talk about that and see how we are progressing with that.
Let's do that because I love that stuff. I mean, I saw Tim Lang the other day, and I was just gushing over I remember seeing it at the planning stages when we went to the American Memorial Park and the theater inside there, hearing about what it was going to look like and seeing the pictures, and now seeing it really come to life. And I know there's still a long way to go, but some of the places that are getting pretty close to finished, seeing the plants that were selected, the little trees, and it looks outstanding. Like it looks like exactly what you guys were trying to do.
Hopefully we can, with Mother Nature cooperating, hopefully we can finish that on time. We're actually on schedule for that. I do want to say this, Brad, that all the money that we had gotten from the Economic Development Administration's award, there were 7 projects that were awarded to Sinimay. And so there was actually a strategic vision behind these grants, right? And they were all... They all include, economic development and recovery, right? And so the Garapan revitalization, of course, is the tourist district, right? We're revamping that. And so, hence the trying to, beautify the business district and so that we can entice our tourists to have a safe place to go to, and even our community, right? And something to be proud of, and showcase. Yes, we are little, but we gotta make sure that we stand out as well.
Man, just based on the comments, I want to sneak in one more question before we let you go, and that is your office at all involved with monitoring and possibly mitigating the massive erosion that we see that was happening over there, like by Hyatt and Memorial Park and all that? Does that all fall within your scope at all?
So there is a grant that's currently ongoing. It's going to address the beach erosion at the Hyatt, in front of the Hyatt. Our office, we have staff that are currently involved with that effort. It's being led by it's funded through the hazard mitigation program under the hazard mitigation program under Ms. Liz Balahaja, our director. And so, short answer, yes, our office is in one way or another involved with the with that effort.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Mariano. Really appreciate you taking the time to get down here. I know we just reached out to you yesterday and getting down here this morning. So we look forward to. You'll have my card. We've got email communication now, so we'll schedule it to talk about all the other great projects. And you want to bring folks in with you. You got anything you've got for photos and all that. You give us all that stuff, and we'll put all this stuff up there too.
Sure. Anytime, Brad. And I would like to say this. I would like to recognize our hardworking staff. I'm not doing this alone. This project, the Olay Sports Complex is being, there's a project coordinator, Ms. Amber Weston, who is involved with it. And we also have our sports staff, our admin sports staff. Yes.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, sorry. We have a phone call coming in. Let's see who we got. Good morning. Hi, this is Brad. You're on with Good Morning Marianas.
Hey, good morning, Brad, and Brother Mariano. This is Piling. Yeah, hey, I just want to say thank you, Mariano, Primo, for the great planning for the Civic Center area. And I just want to throw in if there's a space there to bring our ancient ancestors from behind IPI, would it be possible to include them? So that's a very beautiful planning, Primo.
Okay, so
just asking.
So Piling, hold on one second. So because I didn't give Mariano the headphones to hear your phone call, sorry, but I'll pass it on. So it's Piling Gzepmo is saying again, thank you for everything that you're doing, and can you ask that one more time? Wait, can you ask it one more time?
No, with if there's enough space. Because that's a very beautiful project, you know, and if there's enough space to bring our ancient ancestors' grave site from behind ICI and bring it over to that place.
To the cultural center.
No, just asking.
Okay, so what Piling's asking is like, is there enough space in the cultural center layout that you have, maybe to make some sort of a repository for the remains of the folks who were removed from the burial site where IPI currently is?
So I cannot speak to how the reinterment procedures are, right? If we can move, the remains from one location to another. That would be an HPO question. Typically what happens is when remains are found at a specific location, there are protocols for reinterment, and so if we encounter any of the remains within the cultural center, definitely there's going to be a location that's going to be identified for that reinterment.
Okay.
As far as the IPI and other locations for reinterment at the cultural center, I'm not too sure about that, and I cannot speak on whether that is an allowable procedure. There might be some cultural aspects that may not allow for that, right? But short answer is I don't have the answer for a quick answer. Maybe an HBO person might be able to answer that.
All right. Well, thanks for your question anyway, Piling. Thanks again for calling in for that. I interrupted you. You were thanking your staff.
Yes. I just wanted to acknowledge our hardworking staff. We have a project coordinator, and I wouldn't be anywhere successful in anything that I do in my day to day without our staff. We have a project coordinator, Amber Weston, sports staff, Moira Iglesias, and Mr. Alex Castro, and of course with the direction of our deputy director Chris Blon and Miss Liz Balahaja, who is currently on leave. But these are the folks behind the scenes that make things happen, that allow me to do my work safely and correctly.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks so much again for being here. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to take a real quick break as we get ready to wrap up the show a little bit. But Mariano, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a good day, everybody.
Yep. All right, so folks, we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to talk to Mariano just for a little bit. Not a whole lot of time left on the show. We will come back and give you the latest update from the Associated Press. In fact, that's what I'll do. Rather than send you to a commercial while we wrap this up over here, I will give you guys the latest update from the Associated Press that just hit while we were doing this interview. So here you go. And again, thank you, Mariano. Thank you, everyone from OPD. Here's the latest from the Associated Press.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. A repeated Peruvian gang leader suspected in nearly 24 killings in his home country was arrested in New York by U.S. immigration authorities. Gianfranco Torres Navarro, the leader of Los Killers, who is wanted for 23 killings in his home country, was arrested in Endicott, New York, about 145 miles northwest of New York City. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says he's being held at a federal detention facility near Buffalo, pending an immigration hearing. A wrongful death suit against Disney serves as a warning to consumers when clicking I agree. The director of litigation at the Privacy Information Center, John Davidson, says that the cards are stacked against the consumer when they innocently sign up for something like a Disney subscription.
The way this agreement is being used against the consumer is so unexpected, so beyond what any consumer would normally be thinking about when they're signing up again for a video streaming service. The best advice I can give, I think, is to support lawmakers and regulators that are attentive to these issues and that are taking systematic regulatory approaches to fixing these problems and preventing unfair and deceptive practices by businesses that harm consumers.
Starbucks is giving its new CEO a huge pay package. AP correspondent Norman Hall reports.
Starbucks' incoming CEO could make well in excess of $100 million in his first year with the company under an incentive-laden contract, and he will not be required to relocate from his home in California to Seattle, the home of the global coffee giant. Starbucks announced Tuesday that Brian Niccol would become its chairman and CEO on September 9th. Niccol is among the most highly sought-after corporate executives after establishing a track record of success in turning around companies that have hit a rough patch, including Taco Bell and most recently Chipotle. I'm Norman Hall.
This is AP News. Members of Congress are pushing the Pentagon's leaders to make sure the military is not swept up in politics as the presidential election nears.
A letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs Chairman C.Q. Brown mirrors questions asked during the 2020 campaign, when Donald Trump suggested he might not accept the election's results. Trump has also said if he wins this year, he might use the military to police the southern border and cities dealing with violent crime. The letter asks U.S. Austin and Brown to reaffirm that active duty troops cannot legally be used as a domestic police force. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The mayor of a small Georgia town has been indicted on charges that he illegally left a bottle of gin in a ditch for a state prison work crew. Thompson Mayor Benjamin Benji Carey Cranford was indicted and arrested by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents. I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
Player number 14,
It's a great day to be up 3-0. I'll tell you that. It probably is not great to be down.
I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Ocean.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, is just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you can choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
All right, CNMI. Good morning, Marianas. It is 9:26 a.m. here. 9:27 now. See, look, time is just flying right by. Had a great show so far today, for sure. Had a great time having our guest in, Mark Scoggins, attorney who's representing the marine sports operators who are shuttling people back and forth to Managaha in the fight for their livelihood in the face of proposed regulation changes from DPL. And also just had Mariano Iglesias from the Office of Planning and Development. Really great to have. I mean, hey, when you got two great guests coming in, it makes my job so much easier. You guys want to come in? Come on, come in every day. We'll do it all the time. Just wrapped up a little bit with Mariano on his way out. And we're going to have him in again next week to give us some more updates. And he's like, Fridays are great for him, so Fridays are great for us too. So he's going to end up coming by next Friday, talk about some of the other things that are going on, like what's happening in Garapan and with that project. And that's a pretty massive project, and other projects that they're overseeing. So we're looking forward to that. So thanks so much to the guests for coming in. Thanks so much to you guys for watching. Thanks, Peeling, for the phone call. And that just reminded me, man, I need to have my guests put on some headphones so they can hear those phone calls when they come in. So I'll make sure, okay, I got it. I'll make sure that they've got it. Okay, you got me, or I got me. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. We've got a lot of cool things happening for us, new equipment coming in. And before we get off this show, I know he didn't hear it because he was out doing other stuff. I want to say thank you to VJ Agulto for being just a great partner in crime for the past 5 weeks as an intern of the show. You guys don't get to see him so much because he's busy working on the other side of the camera. And just really lucky to have you, buddy. I mean, the amount of work that you put in and the developing relationship and the more trust I had in you as time went on and the more things that you were able to accomplish through all this time, it's been great for me. I hope it was great for you too. I hope you learned a lot about how this kind of operation works, and I think that hopefully your takeaway is to that anything can happen. That you, and as you get older and you grow into your professional life, as you go through your education and all that, that you know that you can chase your dreams. It's not impossible to do something from scratch. You don't have to be perfect right out of the gate. You're going to continue to improve and figure it out. And that if you find that you're able to do what you really love, you're not working. It's not work for me. I love doing this. This is the easiest thing I've ever had to wake up for in the morning. This is the best. And hopefully you'll find that in your life too. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching every day. We'll be back. There's special coverage that we're going to have today. A signing between public schools, the sports directors out here, and Northern Marianas Sports Association. So we'll have that for you after lunch today. Thank you guys so much. And hey, guess what? We're just a few days away. Baseball next week, the playoffs for the Saipan Baseball League. We will see you guys on Monday. We'll also see you here later. Thanks for tuning in.
Good morning, Mariana.
Have a great day and a great weekend.
Things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun. Good morning, Mariana.